we'll definitely be having more apps. I mean, mobile is the way to go.
Yeah. So I think straight it reaches to maybe 700, 800 million people in case.
Sure, sure. Yes, we actually have plans of doing hackathons for that. So
yeah, so
just
maybe it can be a platform where
keep
maybe
a
you
watch,
can invite people and.
So innovation, and we'll definitely have a sort of, I mean, we'll be expanding, yeah.
My question is to the doctors available in this forum. What is your opinion about the wearable health devices for monitoring the vital parameters of the body? Because these wearable health devices can be used in the remotest area and can be beneficial to the rural masses for monitoring their health parameters and transferring the parameters to the cloud, which can be monitored by the doctors.
I think it's very exciting. This is a space that's going to see a lot of developments. I think the problem at this point in time is the cost. They're just very expensive. But I think as the popularity increases, which I'm sure it will, the cost will come down. But it's definitely going to be very, very significant for a country like ours, which is just so large. And if we start to even look at the challenges of building the infrastructure, and given the fact that we have such a huge shortfall, we really do need to look at how is it that we can offer solutions without relying on what we have relied for the last 60 years. So I mean, it really fits in very well, and it will be very useful. I think a lot of point of care testing is going to be another thing. PHFI has developed a nice slate that that is able to do this. There's just so much work. See, we have such a huge problem with anemic women. Why should they need a blood test? I mean, there's technology available that can tell you if they're anemic or not. And then the same applies to children as well. So a lot of these diagnostics, point of care testing, these wearable devices, I think are going to help considerably as we look at integration and look at moving quickly as we move towards enhancing really this whole concept of holistic health.
And on this, the right person I was going to point is Dr. Abhishek. Bunch of 4 or 5 people who started Biosense to address this same challenge, and he will probably be able to shed some light on what his vision is.
I'm representing Biosense. We develop point-of-care diagnostics, and we have a non-invasive anemia scanning tool as well. There are 2 issues here. One is we are living in a very contradictory market. One market in Mumbai wears a Goki band and measures the amount of steps that they take. Another market, you have kids dying of diarrhea, where there is no ORS available. So these are the 2 contradictory worlds that we live in. Wearable devices, if and when they come to India, will probably hit tier 1 cities first, where you will have things like Holters, ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. This will be the start of the wearable movement in India. A wearable, I'm talking about medical wearable. I'm not talking about where you're just monitoring your heartbeat or something of that sort. But for it to go to the rural, I think there are fundamental problems that need to be solved with infectious diseases. Once mortality and morbidity of infectious diseases go down, then only do we look at non-communicable diseases. If people are dying of diarrhea, do you talk about diabetes? No. You talk about diarrhea first. So I think wearable will come in tier 1 cities first. People like us will wear ABPM, monitor our blood pressures 24 hours a day, titrate our doses of blood pressure very tightly, and there is a big market for it. But rural, I don't see it happening till the point the infectious disease burden is solved. And POCT can help in that. POCT can help in infectious disease burden or testing at the most rural areas where the lab is probably 60 kilometers away. But that won't be an ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. That will probably be a lateral flow immunoassay for typhoid. It will be a lateral flow immunoassay for hepatitis, things like that.
Abhishek, just one point if I might make. All of us believe that we have a lot of infectious disease. Yes, we do. But 5 years ago, non-communicable diseases overtook infectious diseases. And it's going to be non-communicable diseases that will cripple this country. It will cripple our economy. It's so much easier to fix infectious diseases, but it's a lot harder to fix diabetes once you have it.
Completely
And
agree.
again, we live in this myth that, in villages you don't have this. This is an urban phenomenon. We have hypertension, we have diabetes. Our eyes have opened when we've gone to the villages of Aragonda. Surprising, shocking, the amount of pre-diabetes we have, hypertension that we have, and hypertension where they are being diagnosed but they have inappropriate medication, so they walk around with blood pressures of 160 by 100, knowing they have diabetes and having medicine which is inappropriate, which is really the saddest part of this whole thing. So
I
think
completely agree with that. My comment was around the wearables. So when we talk about wearables, if you're talking about halters, we're talking about ABPMs, we're talking about 24-hour ECGs, we're talking about those things, which I honestly don't see it at the village. I think you need a sphygmomanometer at the village first.
Actually, BP tester and glucose
Glucometer.
tester, and this is your pulse tester. I think 3-4 wearable devices are required for testing the vital parameters. If we tell the individual that your BP is rising or you are having the diabetes, and the person can change his living style. And, I think it will be better.
Sushil sir, can I answer your question, please?
What you're talking about is really not wearables, more of consumer health
Right.
devices. So there is a difference between both.
Wearable
Again,
is
if you look
something
at
which you wear for
wearables,
24
mostly-
hours. So
Yeah.
my comment was around something which is worn for 24 hours. For
I think
example,
we need
a
we need
sphygmo-
tea. I think we need tea break right now. So we'll take a tea break, reconvene. We'll have the discussion and then we'll directly interact with Bakul and see what he has to say on the devices and all. I think he is the global authority on medical devices and the FDA regulation. Let's start our discussion, please. If you have questions to ask or something to share. Yeah.
I would like to share some of the developments that are happening. One of the challenges that's been there for us is to detect the counterfeit medicines. The key drivers of this initiative happened around 4 years back, because India is becoming one of the largest pharmaceutical hub for the rest of the world.
You can hear me, right?
And there were some counterfeit drugs which were found in the offshore. And then when on closer investigation, it was found that it originated from a different country, and then we didn't have a track and trace system in place. So at that point of time, Department of Commerce took the initiative to put up a system in place for track and trace and authentication. Similarly, a parallel initiative happened in the domestic by a PAL filed in the court for saying that what is the mechanism that is in place to detect counterfeit. As a result of which, I think the Ministry of Health formed a committee under the CDSCO, and then it went through the series of discussions and deliberation.
Cannot hear me still.
And then NIC set up a study, complete study across this, and had meetings with stakeholders. As a result of which, at this Ministry of Health and exports are closely aligned, the system, so that it is whatever is adopted across the rest of the world is also
I'm
followed.
speaking,
So
continuously.
currently the mandate for all the exports is that you need to have a, in terms of a drug identification or authentication system for your secondary and tertiary level, which is there.
Basically this is from the production point of view?
Yeah,
or
production point of view.
I see.
So which means that any product that is manufactured will carry a 2D barcode, 2D GS1 data matrix, which has all the details about the product related to the batch number, product code, and also there is a
Are you
unique,
still having problems?
there is a
with
unique
my-
code for each of the
my audio?
medicines. For example, if I manufacture 10,000 units of MOVE, each of them will have a code, unique code. In addition to the product code being the same, the batch number being the same. So what the manufacturer has to do is, after the production, all the data has to be uploaded into the central portal.
Okay.
So
Can you speak?
Ministry of Health and Department of Commerce come out with a common portal which is developed by NIC, which is already under the development, and it it is called as DAVA. That means a drug authentication and verification system. So now they are starting with exports, because already this started way ahead, 2-3 years back. So now what is going to happen is already the testing is happening on the portal, and there is also a mobile app which has been developed
Okay.
called Dava, which is again on the testing
you
on a
cannot hear me?
Google Play Store.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now what will happen is, as a part of testing, some of the 10 largest manufacturers and medium companies have come forward to put their data onto the cloud.
Okay.
So after
Yeah.
which I think it
Did
will
you
be
connect it to the audio
authenticated.
now?
And
Is it
the
coming
same is
out of
going to
the-
happen for the
yeah?
domestic.